Hi everyone, welcome back to our live session. Okay, today it's a holiday, so I hope you managed to sleep in a little. Okay, and for those of you who are in as usual, can just do a shout out, say hello. Okay, so I know that you're in. Okay, hello Lily. Okay, so I hope some of you have already purchased the ingredients beforehand. Okay, since today is a public holiday, so it'll be a good day to whip up a sweet dessert, okay, to pair with your afternoon tea later on. Okay, so we'll just wait for a couple more minutes for more viewers to join us. Okay, hello Iris, hello Shirley. Hello Jolene. Okay, so we will just wait for a while. Okay, in the meantime, I'm just gonna show you, okay, what I'll be making today, okay, to whet your appetite. Okay, so this is actually how my carrot cake is gonna look like later on. Okay, it's really yummy. Okay, and this is the carrot cake that you can typically buy them outside. Okay, but now you can actually make it on your own. Okay, so we will wait for a while before we share with you the ingredients needed for today's steamed carrot cake and cinnamon recipe. Okay, hello, Chelsea. All right, I think we can start now. Okay, so I hope you are enjoying your holiday so far. Okay, so my name is Rachel. I'm a nutritionist from MinMed. Okay, so today I'll be showing you how to prepare a steamed carrot and cinnamon cake. Okay, so let me first introduce the ingredients needed, okay, for today's recipe. Okay, hi Beatrice. Yes, okay, you can prepare this cake without even using an oven because I'm gonna use a steamer instead. Okay, so let me just introduce the ingredients first. Okay, we will be using about 3/4 cup of our plain flour. Okay, that is 1/2 cup of wholemeal flour. Okay, and of course, what's a cinnamon cake without cinnamon? So we're actually using about 3 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Okay, and also apart from cinnamon, we are also using nutmeg as another spice to spice up our carrot cake. So here I'm using about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Okay, and here, okay, it's actually 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and about a pinch of salt. Okay, so if you have watched my live previously on the banana bread, okay, I did share a tip, is that if you do not have any baking soda at home, you can actually use the baking powder by multiplying the amount by 3 times. Okay, so for example, this recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, but if you do not have it, you can just add another additional 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, okay, to substitute it. Okay. Okay, so that is our dry ingredients. Okay, next we'll be using about 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay, about 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I've already reduced the amount of sugar by at least about 50%. Okay, here I've also reduced the amount of oil that I'm using. I'm only using about 1/4 cup of sunflower oil. Okay, of course, our main ingredient here would be our grated carrots. Okay, as you can see, okay, this is how the grated carrots looks like. Okay, it depends on how you like the texture of your cake to be. Okay, you can actually have a combination of some grated ones, okay, and some shredded ones. Okay, but for today, I'm actually using 100% grated carrots. Okay, and I am using our fresh carrot juice as well. Okay, so after reducing the amount of oil, okay, the cake is lacking in moisture. So how do you add back in the moisture? Is that after you have grated the carrots, okay, squeeze them dry, okay, and obtain the fresh carrot juice like that. Okay, so this is actually about 1/2 cup of fresh carrot juice, and we'll use that to add into our cake to add extra moisture. Okay. Okay, so the other key ingredient here would be 2 eggs, okay, as well as our pecans. Okay, so again, I've actually lightly processed my pecans beforehand. Okay, if you don't want to use pecans, you can actually choose to use walnuts as well. Okay, these are all perfectly fine. Okay, but if you purchase your pecans already, you can actually do this recipe and you can do the Nutella tart recipe as well. Okay, so this is actually about 100 grams of processed pecans. Okay, so I have a question. Okay, can I grind my own cinnamon and nutmeg? Of course you can, Lily. Okay, if you want to grind your own nutmeg and cinnamon, feel free to do so. Okay, but for ease of preparation, today I'm actually using the grounded version already. Okay, so that is actually the basic ingredients for our cake. Okay, if you want the frosting, okay, that you see in my cake like that, okay, as you can see the frosting in between at the top. Okay, we'll be showing you how to prepare the frosting as well. Okay, so for the frosting, what you'll need here will be 125 grams of our low-fat cream cheese. Okay, about a quarter cup of your whipping cream. Okay, so as you can see, I've already whipped it up already. Okay, and you need a little bit of icing sugar. Okay, why do you need a little bit of icing sugar? It's because cream cheese itself is savory. Okay, so you need a little bit of sugar to actually balance out the taste of it. Okay, so this is actually all the ingredients that we need. Okay, so now let's start steaming the cake. Okay, so first step, okay, let's just mix all our dry ingredients together. So we're gonna add in our wholemeal flour. Okay, by now you would already know why we are using wholemeal flour instead of 100% plain flour. Okay, it's really because wholemeal flour has more fiber as compared to your plain flour. Okay, so we're actually using a combination, okay, of wholemeal flour and plain flour. If you want to use just 100% plain flour, of course you can, but just bear in mind that the fiber content will be lower. Okay, so we're going to add in our ground cinnamon, okay, our ground nutmeg, okay, our baking powder, baking soda, and a pinch of salt. Okay, so once all your dry ingredients are in, okay, just give it a good mix. Okay, so let me see. I have some questions. Okay, so the grated carrots are the leftover from juicing the carrots. Okay, so to answer you, Beatrice, what I did is that I've actually first grated my carrots first. Okay, after grating your carrots, you realize that your carrots actually has a lot of water content. Okay, that's their juice. So what I did was to actually squeeze dry my grated carrots to obtain the juice. Okay, so it's not the other way around. I grate the carrot first, squeeze the juice from the grated carrots to obtain the juice. Okay, so that's to answer your question, Beatrice. Okay, so I have another question from Winner Spring commented. Okay, that yes, it is a challenge to buy this flour nowadays. I totally understand you. Okay, because I actually wanted to buy wholemeal flour. I couldn't get any wholemeal flour. Okay, so previously I did share a tip as to how you can actually prepare your own wholemeal flour. All you need to do is to buy rolled oats. Okay, and using a blender, you just have to grind your rolled oats, okay, until they are very fine. Okay, and you can actually use that in replacement of your wholemeal flour. Okay, so that's the answer your question and a tip for you, Winter Spring. Okay. Alright. Okay, so as you just mix in all the dry ingredients, you can actually smell the nutmeg and you can smell the cinnamon. Okay, just a tip for you is that we don't want, because nutmeg in itself, they are fragrant, okay, it's quite pungent. Okay, so we actually want to balance it off with a little bit more cinnamon. So after adding in your nutmeg, okay, your nutmeg shouldn't overpower, okay, the smell of your cinnamon. It should just be a faint fragrance. Okay, so this is how the end product actually looks like. Okay, so now we can set the dry ingredients aside. Okay, and now what we're going to do is that we're going to mix our wet ingredients. Okay, so what is needed for our wet ingredients, we're going to crack in 2 eggs. Okay, so 2 eggs. And then we'll just whisk the egg up a little. And then we can actually add in our brown sugar. Okay, so just whisk the egg up like that. Okay, for eggs, okay, like what we have shared with you previously, okay, that you can actually consume up to 4 egg yolks per week. Okay, so just 2 eggs that we're using today, okay, and this can actually serve up to about 8 packs. Okay, so after we have added in the eggs, we're going to add in our brown sugar. Okay, so all you need to do here is to really whisk your brown sugar until they are actually fully dissolved in together with the eggs. Okay, so it wouldn't take too long. You don't have to whisk it for too long. Okay, just make sure that they are well combined and your sugar has totally dissolved, and that is sufficient. Okay, so we have some questions. Okay, can I use only wholemeal flour? Of course, you can use just 100% wholemeal flour. Okay, but your texture, okay, might be a little bit drier. okay, as compared to using a combination of plain flour and wholemeal flour. But of course, you can do that. So if let's say you are using 100% wholemeal flour, maybe you can increase the portion of the carrot juice that you're adding to the recipe. Okay, so that is really just to balance off the texture. Okay, later on I'll show you how the texture looks like. Okay, and as long as you achieve that texture by adding a little bit more carrot juice, then that is fine as well. Okay, so I'm just going to whisk up my sugar and my eggs. Okay. Okay, another question. Okay, eggs, do we need to leave it at the room temperature before using? Ideally, yes. Okay, you should take out your eggs. So what I usually do is that I will take out all my ingredients, leave my eggs in the room temperature, start preparing the remaining ingredients, and then by then, your egg should be ready to be used. Okay, so that's the answer here, Lily. Okay, so after I've mixed it all up, as you can see, my sugar has all dissolved already. Okay, there might be a few lumps, so just press it down a little. Okay, to make sure that they are all well mixed. Okay, so this is how the end product would look like. Okay, just so that you see, okay, it's all dissolved already. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna add in our oil. Okay, so I'm using sunflower oil, okay, as a healthier oil option. So you can actually use canola oil, sunflower oil, not a problem. Okay, but generally we don't really use corn oil because corn oil has quite a strong flavor. Okay, so I prefer to use canola oil and sunflower oil. Okay, so just give your mixture a good mix again. Okay, and then, okay, the oil is also needed to give your cake an extra gloss. Okay, so we cannot totally omit the oil. Even though I've reduced it by 50% already, we still need that little bit of oil, okay, to give your cake the gloss, okay, and also to help to improve the texture. Okay, so this is how the end product looks like. Okay. Okay, so now that we are done, okay, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna mix in our dry ingredients, okay, in 3 parts. So that's the first part that I'm adding in. Okay, mix it up. Okay, make sure that it's all well combined. Okay, so this is really a very good arm workout. I'm already perspiring quite a bit. Okay, so first part done, add in the second part. Okay, and then continue whisking. Okay, in the meantime, let me see whether you have any other questions. Okay, so, okay, can you use olive oil instead? You can choose to use olive oil, not a problem. Okay, however, the thing about olive oil is that they have very low heating point, and if you're gonna steam the cake for about 50 to 60 minutes, it may not be as suitable to use olive oil if you really want to reap the full benefits of olive oil. Okay, so in this case, you can still use olive oil. Okay, just that because of their low heating point, you may not get the benefits that it should have if you use it in other cooking methods like, sauteing. Okay, so in this case, you can still use olive oil, but I would still recommend you to probably use canola oil or sunflower oil, or basically any oil that you have at home, as long as they are a healthier option. Okay. Okay, so now we're just added in our last bit of our flour. So we're just giving it another good mix. Okay, so once it's all mixed up already and you don't see any bits of flour by the side of your mixing bowl, okay, then we are all ready to add in our grated carrots, okay, as well as our processed pecans. Okay, so as you can see, this is how the texture currently looks like. Okay, it's a bit thick. Okay, so that is why later on we're going to add a little bit of our carrot juice. Okay, so now I'm just going to add in my grated carrots. Okay, and just give it a good mix. Okay, so carrots, okay, they are orange in color, so they are really rich in vitamin A. Okay, so today I'm actually using about 300 grams of grated carrots. Okay, if you want to use a little bit more, you can as well. Okay, but 300 is actually just nice because you also want to balance it out with the pecans. Okay, so I'm using 100 grams of pecans as I shared earlier on, but I'm just going to add in about 60%, okay, which is 60 grams of pecans into my mixture now. The remaining 40 grams will be saved for later on as a topping for our frosting. Okay, so again, for the pecans, I recommend that you do not actually process them till they are so fine. Okay, you still want to have some texture in there. So I actually processed it in separate batches. So the first batch can be really lightly pulsed, and then the remaining one can be actually slightly smaller to actually have more texture. Okay, so after giving it a good mix, okay, this is how it looks like. Yeah, I think we can afford to add a little bit more pecans in there. Okay, so pecans or any nuts like walnuts, they're actually really good source of unsaturated fat. Okay, good for the heart as well as our brain. Okay, so this is how my texture looks like currently. Just gonna lift it up to show you how it looks like. Okay, so this is the texture. As you can see, it's really very thick after I've added in my carrot, okay, and my pecans. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna add in my carrot juice bit by bit, okay, to achieve the consistency that I want. Okay, so I'm just gonna add in about half a portion first. Okay, and then give it a good mix, okay, and see how's the texture like. Okay, so I think there are some questions here. Let me just scroll through. Okay. Let me just see the question. Oh, okay. So, okay, to answer Lily, I think you were asking about the baking soda and the baking powder, right? Okay, so in today's recipe, I actually use a combination of baking powder and baking soda. Okay, so for today's recipe, I use half a teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, so if you don't have baking soda at home, okay, you can actually use baking powder to replace it, but the original amount of baking powder is still needed. So instead of adding half a teaspoon of baking powder for today's recipe, you need to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder to replace the baking soda that you do not have. Okay, so hope that helps to clear up the confusion. Okay, so the baking powder is still necessary, but the baking soda, you can actually replace it with 3 times of the original amount that is needed for the baking soda. Okay, so I hope that helps to clear up the confusion. Okay, so now I've actually added in half a portion of my carrot juice. As you can see, it's still relatively thick. Okay, so I'm just going to add in just a little bit more of my carrot juice. Okay, usually it's about 1/3 cup, okay, of the carrot juice. If you like it a little bit more moist, you can actually add about half a cup of carrot juice. Okay, so after giving it a good mix, okay, so this is the type of consistency that we are looking at. Okay, so it should be more flowy, okay, as compared to the original one that we have not added in the carrot juice. Okay. Oh, okay. So for Lily, you don't have baking powder, you only have baking soda. Okay, so in this case, baking powder is actually essential. Okay, and you need to use the baking powder. Okay, because baking powder and baking soda has slight differences. Baking soda actually has more acidic compound. Okay, whereas baking powder, okay, do not have that much of the acidic compound. Okay, so you actually need both. Okay, for this particular recipe. Okay, so if you don't have baking powder at home, then you actually need to have that baking powder to prepare this recipe. Okay, so using baking soda itself wouldn't be able to give you the consistency that you require for this recipe. Okay, so after giving a good mix like that, okay, we are good to go. Okay, as you can see. Okay, so once this is done already, what you need to do now, okay, is to get ready a cake tin, okay, for you to pour in your mixture. Okay, so this cake tin that I'm using is about 6 inch, okay, in size. Okay, not too big, reason being that I am going to do the frosting later on. So you don't want a cake tin that is too big, otherwise your cake will be very thin and you won't be able to cut them into half horizontally. Okay, so for this amount of mixture that I'm actually using about a 6 inch cake tin. So just nice, after it has rise, I can actually cut them up horizontally to do the frosting. Okay, so before you actually add them to the cake tin, make sure you grease them first, okay, with a little bit of the oil, okay, before adding in your mixture. Okay, so this is the first step to prepare the base of the cake. Okay, now what we're going to do is that we are going to prepare the frosting. Okay, so for the frosting, what we'll require is whipping cream. Okay, again, for whipping cream, you can use the normal whipping cream, not the heavy whipping cream or heavy cream. Okay, because whipping cream will be lower in their fat content. Okay, so just whip up your whipping cream. You can use a hand whisk. Okay, you just have to induce air in there. Okay, and whip it up for about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, and you can actually see that your whipping cream will start to peak like that. Okay, so once this is done, we're gonna add in our cream cheese. Okay, so this cream cheese here has to be put in the room temperature for a while. Okay, so that it's easier for you to mix with the whipping cream. Okay, so for the cream cheese, we are using about half a tub, which is about 125 grams of this cream cheese. Okay, and it's a low-fat option. Okay, so using the whisk, okay, just give it a really good mix. Okay, because if it's left in the room temperature, as you can see, okay, it combines very easily and very fast. Okay, so a tip is to leave them in the room temperature for a while. Okay, so now that we have actually whisked it up, okay, we're gonna add in a little bit of icing sugar. Okay, why we are using icing sugar instead of fine sugar is really because for this frosting, okay, icing sugar will actually combine and dissolve with the frosting more easily as compared to our fine sugar. Okay, so I'm actually using about half a tablespoon of icing sugar. You can always taste your frosting as you go, okay, to avoid adding too much of this icing sugar. Okay, so I'm just going to add in a bit first. Okay, so if you have missed my explanation earlier on, okay, the icing sugar is needed because the cream cheese itself is a little bit savory. Okay, so actually you can omit the icing sugar if you don't mind, okay, the savory taste of the cream cheese. But since this is a dessert, generally the frosting, okay, will require a little bit of sugar, okay, so that it goes well with the cinnamon carrot cake. Okay, so this is how your frosting will look like. Okay, so just to leave it up for you to see. Okay, so once this is done, you can put this in the refrigerator and let it chill, okay, until your cake has finished steaming. Okay, so for the cake, how long do we need to steam it for? It took me approximately 50 to 60 minutes, okay, for the cake to be thoroughly cooked. Okay, so what you can do is that you can actually use a satay stick to poke through, usually the center, okay, of your cake to make sure that it is thoroughly cooked. Okay, so at the end of steaming the cake, okay, once you have to take it out from the steamer, what you need to do is to slice the cake, okay, horizontally to obtain 2 portions, okay, and then you just have to apply the frosting that I did earlier on, okay, on the bottom layer of the cake and stack it up with the other layer. Okay, and right at the top, as you can see, you can just apply a thin layer of frosting and sprinkle it with your chopped pecans. Okay, for frosting, because there is actually a source of sugar and fat, so I've just added in a very thin layer of frosting, as you can see, not too thick. Okay, so this will actually help you to control the amount of sugar and fat that you are adding onto the cake itself. Okay, so people are always very curious about the calories. Okay, so for this particular recipe, okay, a slice of cake like that is actually about 280 calories with the frosting. If you omit the frosting, it is actually about 250 calories. Okay, so that's the answer to your question, Lily. Okay, so now I'm just going to try this carrot cake in front of you. Okay. It's still quite moist. Okay, so it's best is when it's slightly chilled. So after you put on the frosting already, okay, put them in the refrigerator to let it chill for a bit longer. Okay, so that your frosting actually sets better as well. So once that's done, you can remove them from the fridge and it's perfect, okay, to go with your afternoon tea. Okay, so take this chance of public holiday. If you have not purchased the ingredients, okay, you can go out to purchase them. Okay, if you already have it, then how about try making this yummy, moist steamed carrot and cinnamon cake this public holiday, okay, and have it as your afternoon tea. Okay, so it's really yummy. Okay, and I hope that you will learn and you'll try to make this as well. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of today's session on steamed carrot and cinnamon cake. I hope that you have enjoyed today's session and you will try this recipe. Okay, and after you tried it, remember to tag us on either Instagram or Facebook so that we know that you are trying our recipes. Okay, so with that, okay, you'll see Jolene tomorrow. She'll be showing you how to prepare a sugar snap pea noodles. Okay, and then I'll see you again on Saturday as I make another recipe called the prawn toast. Okay, so till then, stay safe and I hope that you enjoy the remaining holiday. Okay, have some rest and spend more time with your family members. Okay, so till then, see you again. Thank you. Bye.